All right. Um, so today we're going to talk about the Pueblo coal plant closure, um, and what that means for our renewable goals in Colorado. So we're going to talk about what it is, the Excel Pueblo Unit 3, as we are calling it, give a brief history of this coal plant, and then talk about the Pueblo Just Transition Electric Resource Plan, which is really, what's next after this plant closure. So Colorado has a number of coal plants that are slated to be closed in the next several years. The last plant that will close in Colorado will happen in 2031, and that is this plant. And it's called, you might hear it referred to as the Comanche 3. But out of respect for tribal nations, we are calling it Pueblo Unit 3. But it is run by Excel. It came online in 2010. It cost $1 billion to build, and it is the most unreliable and expensive plant on their system. It is, and that was due to construction defects and operational mistakes, and it is often offline due to the problems that it experiences. It is the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in Colorado. It emits 4 to 5 million tons of carbon dioxide per year, and it is the leading source of hazardous air pollutants in Pueblo. And Pueblo does not benefit from the power that's generated. So the residential power is sent to Denver and Boulder areas. So we have, even though we don't live in Pueblo, we all have skin in the game, because whatever happens with this plant will affect Excel ratepayers. But anyway, just wanted to put a finer point on the emissions that I forgot to mention. So the 4 to 5 million tons of carbon dioxide a year is actually equivalent to 800,000 internal combustion cars. So it is massive. All right. And so, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned this, the closure date for this plant is January 1st, 2031. Originally, it was slated to close in 2070, but because of the work of advocates and the goals that Colorado has set to reduce our emissions, that was shortened 39 years, which is exciting, and is, really right around the corner. So what will replace this power is the question. Excel is required to submit plans to the Colorado Public Utilities Commission next week on October 15th for how it intends to meet the demands after this unit closes. And they are required to look at Pueblo first, in terms of where the location of this energy producing unit ends up. It must be in Pueblo, because they have the most to really lose. So just a bit of history before I move into this next piece. Just that, like, our thought around what it should look like is, renewable, clean energy, producing good jobs for folks in Pueblo to replace the jobs that are being lost at this Unit 3 plant, and making sure that costs are low for ratepayers in Denver and Boulder. Oh, I guess I was going to say that. And then the additional tax revenue for Pueblo. Right now, Excel is committed to paying property taxes through 2040. So there will be an additional 9 years of tax revenue that will not be lost from this plant, which is good. But after that, that will be a big drop for Pueblo. So, we need to make sure we're taking into consideration the jobs, the tax revenue, reducing emissions, and keeping costs low. So no easy feat. All right. So Xcel in early 2023 created a commission or a committee to talk about what the future would look like for Pueblo. They invited certain parties and did not invite others, including the city of Pueblo. But they had 7 meetings where they talked about what the potential, next steps are, solutions for this, and they came up with 2 options. One, that they are promoting as the best option is to build a nuclear plant. In their words, it would create a handsome property tax base far into the future. There would be good paying jobs, and so that's sort of this committee's number one recommendation, was to go build a nuclear plant. The second best option in this commission's opinion was a natural gas plant with carbon capture. So the issues around nuclear are that it is dangerous. It is very, very expensive, and ratepayers would be on the hook for that. But it is over-promising and under-delivering in general, and is far more expensive than industry would want you to believe. And the plants take a long time to build. It could take 10 years to build a nuclear plant or more. And meanwhile, that leaves a large gap in producing this energy. So we don't think that nuclear is a good option. And, it's really putting all of the risk on Pueblo residents, which, is they're already dealing with this pollution, and this doesn't produce those benefits that we talked about. Natural gas with carbon capture, this is sort of just doing the same thing that we're already doing, investing into fossil fuels. Gas costs are volatile, as we have seen winter after winter, and we need to be moving into clean energy, not investing more into fossil fuels, especially with not only Xcel needing to reduce their emissions, but the state. We wouldn't be able to hit those goals. Carbon capture is also unproven. It's never been done at scale. And it assumes that the CO2 will remain underground. So a lot of variables could make that quite dangerous, expensive, and may not even do what it's intending to do if it's not staying underground. So one of the sort of renewable energy angle, from our perspective, is that they could build a solar battery storage unit, or a battery storage unit, which could both capture solar and wind energy. There's already a growing source of wind out in eastern Colorado that they could tap into. Pueblo is already investing in solar that could be captured here, and increased. So, of course, we know that this is cleaner, it produces less pollution, and it would be cheaper for ratepayers. So I just wanted to kind of switch into what the Public Utilities Commission is, because they are going to be determining. So basically what happens is Xcel submits this plan next week, and it's kind of a starting point, and we don't know what's going to be included in there. It could be 1 or 2 of these options. It could be a combination of things. But it's a starting point for advocates to take into consideration, and for the PUC to take into consideration, and there's room for it to change. And certainly we will be taking a close look at it. Mountain Mamas is part of a broad coalition of advocates that are in Pueblo and on the Front Range, that are going to take a close look at this plan, and give ample feedback to the PUC about it. And that is really where our members can come in and influence that process. But just to give like a quick overview of what the PUC is, it's a 3-person body appointed by the governor. And they regulate utilities and facilities so that we have safe, reliable, and reasonably priced services. And so they are in charge of regulating the utilities in our state. And they do consider public input when they are deciding on things like energy, energy resource plans. So as I mentioned, the next steps are this Pueblo Just Transition Electric Resource Plan. Next week, we will be reviewing and developing a response, and then we are gonna, and then the PUC will take public comment in the first part of next year. So there will be opportunity to both provide public comment, but also there will be other opportunities, sending in emails, writing letters to the editor. We may hold some public demonstrations like rallies or press conferences that folks can attend or potentially speak at. So we want to make sure that we sort of laid the groundwork here to let folks know what is happening. It is a really big deal and will have a huge impact on Pueblo and workers and air breathers. And it's going to have a big impact on those of us that live in the Denver, Boulder area in terms of, what sort of rates we're going to face in the future. And it impacts our air pollution too, of course. So a lot more to come. What questions can I answer? Or Jen, also please feel free to jump in if I have missed anything.
Do we have a sense of how receptive any of the deciding authorities are to doing battery storage for solar and wind?
Jen, do you want to take that?
Sure. The indications, the only information we have really is from previous decisions that they have made. And I would say it's been a mixed bag. They have looked at factors such as pollution that's generated by the sources of the electricity. They also look at cost. That's one of the big factors that they have taken into consideration. And so some of it will come down to that. So one of our jobs will be to remind them that air pollution is not cost-free. The cost to public health and to people's, very real dollars of having to go to the hospital to deal with an asthma attack and, somebody who can't breathe because of air pollution, and situations like that. So I think that'll be part of our job as we submit comments to them and letters to the editor and other ways that we're going to hopefully shape this discussion. No guarantees, I guess, one way or the other, really, with this commission.
Jen, did I miss anything? Did you have anything to add?
I don't think so. I think you did a great job of covering the bases there. We're really just ramping up, and we'll know a lot more next week as we get the draft plan from Xcel and see what it is that they're suggesting that they would like to do. And so, yeah, just trying to lay the groundwork here and inform folks about what's coming, because it's gonna be a big process that we're going to need lots of help with.
All right. Well, so that, I guess, more to come on that as we move forward. Casey, I think you were on the last call, right, where we talked about Dolores. So Jen, are there updates that Casey should know about, or are we kind of?
We are, we don't have much of an update. We're continuing to try and get folks to send comments through that portal I shared last time, and I can share again, Casey, if you happen to need that. But Mesa and Montrose counties are taking feedback still, as are the senators, and we're sort of waiting to hear what the senators are thinking, and sort of in a holding pattern at the moment, just continuing to try and demonstrate the support that Coloradans do have for that proposed national monument.
Thanks, Jen. So I think that's really what we had today. I just wanted to, we always share upcoming events and actions. So I'm sure you're ready to vote, Casey. And just a reminder, make sure you know your plan to vote on election day. Our next lunch bunch will be after that. So, we'll see what kind of country we have. November 13th is our next lunch bunch, and we'll make an announcement of what that topic will be. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and recording.